We're at home again for some science. Today we're going to talk about the water cycle. Okay, the water cycle is all around us. We live in part of the water cycle. The cycle is a pattern. We've talked a lot about patterns in class. How they have certain things and then they repeat. They do certain things and then they repeat. Okay, so that's the water cycle, is the same thing. It's a pattern. So, as we're talking about the water cycle, we're going to see our water. Down here at the bottom is our rivers, just like the one outside of Pittsburgh, our lakes, the San Francisco Bay, and out in the ocean. It's water here on Earth. Up in the sky, we got our sun. It starts to heat that water. That sun is warming it up, and it causes evaporation. Can you guys say that? Evaporation. That's when the water gets heated and rises up into the air as a gas. Well, as the water goes up into the air, the cold air up in the sky causes it to group together, or condensation. It condenses into a cloud. The cold air causes it to cause condensation. Can you guys say that? Condensation. Well, they start condensing, those water molecules. They're all together, and that cloud's starting to get heavier and heavier. And as it gets heavier and heavier, it starts to let some of the water go. And that's called precipitation. Can you guys say that one with me? Precipitation. So the water's falling back out of the clouds, back to Earth, going onto the land, which can go into the ground, which there's rivers and lakes underground, or it could fall into our rivers, our lakes, and our ocean. And then once again, the sun will heat it for evaporation, the air will cool it for condensation, it'll get too heavy and it'll fall as precipitation, where it'll collect again back on Earth. And this pattern continues around and around. Well, I have 3 experiments now to show you guys that have to do with evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. So what are you going to need? You're going to need about 3 or 4 clear cups or glasses. You're going to need a Sharpie to mark. I wouldn't do it on the glass, but it does come off with rubbing alcohol, but I don't recommend it. I have some clear plastic cups I'm going to use. You're going to need some water. You're going to need some shaving cream, not shaving gel, shaving cream, and some food coloring. And the easiest ones to have is you're going to need some water and cold, and a piece of cold ice. You're going to need a piece of ice. So let's get started with our first experiment. Our first experiment is going to be on evaporation. We're going to heat that water up by using the sun and watching the level go down as the water goes up. As the water goes up into the air in evaporation. So you're going to take some water and you're going to pour it in your cup. You don't need to fill it up. I'm going to go about 2/3 of the way. 1, 2, 3. I went up 2/3 of the way. Put it down nice and flat. This is where you're going to use your Sharpie, and you're going to mark it right where that water's at. Okay? You want to put a nice line so you can see where that water's at. Now, we're going to go find a nice sunny window to put this in. Come with me. So I've taken this water, and there's my line. Put it in a nice sunny window, and I'm going to leave it here. This experiment takes a little patience. As the sun will heat the water, it'll cause evaporation, and the water will go up into the air as a vapor, as water vapor, a gas. Once there's enough in the air and it's cooled, it'll condense into a cloud, not here in my house. And then if it gets too heavy, it'll fall back down. So let's come back and check on this in maybe 5 or 6 hours. So I put this out, I'll come back this evening. Okay, while our evaporation experiment's going on up in the sunny window, let's do the next set of the water cycle. The next step is condensation. That's when that water vapor's up in the air after it evaporated from the sea or the ocean, the lake, and the cold air is causing it to get back together and form clouds. Well, we can make a cloud in just 2 glasses. You can use the plastic cups, but I'm going to show you in the glasses because it's a little bit easier to see. So for this experiment, we're going to need our 2 glasses. One of them we're going to put some hot water in. You can just get the hot water out of the sink. Get it nice and hot. Get someone to help you guys. Be careful, okay? But just get some hot water in it. And this is where we're also going to need our piece of ice. Oh, that's cold. Okay? But, so you're going to get hot water. I've got some here in this thermos. And I'm going to put it down inside there. Okay. So I'm going to fill that glass about half full. I'm going to take this other glass now and I'm going to flip it over and put it up on top. It's going to be the sky. Okay? That water's hot already, so the sun has heated it. And now, up here on top of the sky, we're going to put that piece of ice right up on top. That's going to cause the air inside there to cool down. I can already start seeing the top glass fogging up. It's not actually fog, that's water vapor. It's going up and it's evaporating, but then the cold glass, because of the ice, is causing it to condense on the side of the glasses. Okay? If we leave this here, drops of water will be running down the sides of the glasses. So let's do that. We'll come back and check on it. So we got 2 experiments running right now. We got evaporation up in the window. We got condensation that we can already see happening. But let's make it do some more. What's after condensation? Precipitation. That's when the clouds have gotten too much water and are releasing it back down to the ground, back down to earth. So let's take a look how that happens. So we have 2 experiments going right now. In the water cycle, first is evaporation. That's up in the sunny window. We're going to see if that water level changes. Okay. The other experiment we already just took a look at is condensation. So that one's over there working on it right now. I want to see if it really gets a lot of water vapor to condense in that cold air. After condensation comes precipitation. And that's when the cloud gets too heavy, too full of water, and that water starts to fall back down here to earth, continuing that water cycle. So for our last experiment, we're going to need another cup, clear one to be able to see through. Going to need some water, so we're going to put some water inside the cup. Don't need much. I'm going to fill it about halfway. We're going to need our shaving cream. Our shaving cream is going to be like our cloud. Okay? Don't fill it up with too much shaving cream. You just want to get a little layer down here on top of the water. Okay? So you don't need much. Plus, Dad doesn't want you using all the shaving cream. So we've got that layer. That's our cloud. You can see that nice fluffy cloud. But it's probably getting too full of water. So to really be able to see it, I'm going to put a little more water. We're going to use our imagination with food coloring. Food coloring is going to be that water that's going to be too much. Okay, so I'm going to put some drops of food coloring. And as that cloud is too full, we're going to see if it releases some of it down into the water, back down to earth. Okay, so here we go. So I'm putting about 5 or 6 drops on there, and I want to see if it makes it through the cloud back down into the water. And we can see that already happening. It's dripping through. So the water has got the blue streaks coming down into it. The cloud has filled up with so much water, so much condensation happened in one area that it got too heavy and it released it back down to the ground. This is precipitation. Why don't we go now and head on back over and take a look at our condensation experiment. See how that one's going. See if it's really got a lot of water around the sides now. So we're back here checking out our condensation experiment. Remember, we had the hot water in the bottom. We covered it up on top. We put a piece of ice on top. The hot water is like the sun evaporating the water up into the sky, the top glass. The ice is the cold air up in the sky. And now you can see these water droplets falling down. They're filling that up. That is condensation. That's how clouds are formed. Pretty cool. We saw after the condensation, what happens? Precipitation. After precipitation, that water falling back down, it's on the ground, the sun's heating it up, and that's evaporation. Let's go check out that sunny window and see our evaporation. Okay, come back to check, and if you can see right there, there's a black line and there's some space underneath it. I'm going to get another colored Sharpie here, and I'm going to draw another line. Draw another line there. And you can see that there's a space between the black and the pink line. That water has gone up into the air with evaporation. Pretty cool. That were our 3 experiments on our water cycle. Okay? Let's remember what the water cycle was. We got the water down here on the earth. It's collected. It collects in our rivers, in our lakes, in our San Francisco Bay, out in the ocean. The sun heats that water up and it turns into water vapor and it goes up into the air, and that's called evaporation. Okay? And as that water goes up in the air gets colder and it condenses it. It brings all the water closer together, and that's called condensation. And that's how clouds are formed. The clouds are filling up with all that water and they get too heavy and they have to let it go back down to earth, and that's called precipitation. Okay, so it's gone down back down to earth. What's going to happen? Sun's going to heat it, evaporation. Air's going to cool it, condensation. Get too heavy, precipitation, back down to earth. And around we go with the water cycle. I hope you guys had fun with those experiments. Try it. It was a lot of fun.